So hi everybody, welcome to our second of a series of two webinars that Nick Burton is doing with us. Nick's on the screen here with me, and he's going to continue on his discussion we were having last time about marketing for us, and he's going to specifically tonight talk about how he does a lot of his graphic design and for the ads that he does. And before he gets started, I just want to do a couple things. Thank all of you for coming, by the way. You've given up precious time in your day. I appreciate that. Some of you did hear Nick last time, some didn't. You're going to be up. You're going to be in for a real joy tonight. I want to thank Deb and Mark, who are helping on the board with us tonight. Mark, as he always does, and I think he's on session 10,000 or something now. It's not quite that big, but I bet he's way over 500 different of these webinars over the last 4 years or so that Mark has been our technical assistant on. I appreciate that. I also want to just quickly talk about the webinar that I'm going to be doing tomorrow, which is a little bit different. We don't usually do it like it's actually using Webinar Jam, a new platform that we have. We actually had it for a while. We used it before, but it's been upgraded. And I'm going to do the same webinar tomorrow and on Saturday. And it's going to be called 5 Keys to Learning How to Improve Your Health, to make you healthier, make you happier, and to create a legacy that will last for generations to come. Put a lot of time into researching this, and I think you'll enjoy it, have fun, and come to it. And then finally, I want to talk about Nick's Summit that's coming up on the 23rd, which is very soon, next week actually, and next Monday, getting started and going all week long. He's been traveling all over the country, making videos and doing interviews, and he's going to have live folks. It's going to be spectacular. And so you can register for it at the site stateofthesoil.com that you see up on the chat that I shared with everybody. And we'll talk about it a little bit more as we go. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nick and let him go at it here tonight as he just rocks and rolls, teaching us how to do some more marketing.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. I really appreciate you having me back out. So last time we talked about how we're going to use Facebook to do our market research and kind of how to start getting ready for our ads. And I've had a lot of people reach out and say, well, how do you do all your designs? Because now they've gone to my Facebook page, they've gone to State of the Soil, and they see all the design work that we've done. I would say 98% of our pictures are my own. We do a lot of our own in-house photography, but still that's not enough if you want to do something really eye-popping. So I use a variety of design software, but my one that I use the most and is most conducive to social media because of the different aspect ratios that you have to use for the platforms, whereas Facebook, your banner ads and your profile pics are different sizes than what you would use for Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. Plus your emails and just documents that you make if you were to make recipe cards for the farmer's market, if you wanted to make a flyer to present to restaurants with your price list and availability, you want to kind of stand out, make that a little nice. So this is us going over Canva, canva.com. There's a free version that I think the vast majority of people can get away with using. We create a ton of material, so we buy the paid version just so we can process more pictures. So Wayne, I'm going to do that screen share. I just need verification that popped over and that you can see that.
Not yet, but it should be here. Just don't see it yet, so we're still on our webcams.
All right. How about now?
We lost your webcam. So
webcam.
Let's say, yeah, and you're the presenter, so all you need to do is click that little triangle up there at the top, and there you go. Now we got it.
Okay,
there it is.
Sorry, everybody. I'm used to a different platform. So this is, when you log into canva.com, this is basically what would be your home page. And right off the bat, one of the things that you can do, if these are some of the designs that we've been doing, and if you'll notice, the colors are all pretty much uniform, the fonts are uniform, everything kind of looks the same, which is, for branding purposes, really, really nice. I'm going to hop on down a little bit. Now, I use this for multiple businesses that I do. There's some continuity between our lunch club and State of the Soil. Some of this is just for personal use, like when we went to New York, we did some stuff. But if you can tell that all the colors match. It's important for me if I were to go to, let's just say, Instagram, and you were to look at my Instagram feed. Yeah, well, I'm not logged in here. There we go. If you go to my page, you can see everything you see how it matches up, and you see that branding really come into play. So if you're just scrolling through and happen to see something and follow me regular, you can start to pick up that I'm using the same images, and people instantly recognize that this is coming from us, or especially when it comes to State of Soil, not necessarily the pictures, but it's just something that people can start to catch right off the bat. So back to Canva, the way that instead of having to pick the fonts and pick the colors all the time, Canva allows you to set your brand. So you can set State of the Soil colors for pretty much this. If I'm doing just general stuff of colors that I like to use all the time, they're up here. I can upload the logos that we use all the time, and I can set the different font sizes and actual typesets that we use. And when you're back up into the design part of things, it's easily moved over. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to walk you through the design process. For whatever reason, I got really comfortable starting off in Instagram aspect ratio, and then from there, if you wanted to multiply that out to different social medias, I'll show you how you can instantly do that very, very easily. And again, this is free software. Even at the pro version like I have, it's only like $10 a month, and it's just, I've got Adobe, I've got design softwares programs that cost me, $60, $70, $100 a month, but this is the one I use the most. So we would click. Actually, I'm gonna go back and go over something before I do this. So let's say that you wanted to do Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. That's all up here, right? And that's great because that's the ones that you're most likely going to use the most. But if you go to more, it gives you all these other options, different size documents. As a social media post, we recently formatted some Kindle books, so we were able to use the Kindle aspect ratio, which it'll tell you it's 1410 pixels by 2250. Our blog title, if we use hosted WordPress for our blog, our pixelation is slightly different than 560 by 31, but if you were to pick that, you can actually, and I'm hoping everybody can see my mouth.
Nick, we actually lost your screen again. Don't know why. At least I'm not seeing it. It was up and then now it's not.
Are we back up now?
Not quite yet. No. Don't know what you clicked on, but it went away. It was there. It just clicked on something. We lost it.
Kind of looking around for a second.
There it is. It's back.
Okay.
What you done but it's back there now.
I must have clicked it whenever we were scrolling. I'm trying to move that control panel down. So, okay, we can see it now.
Yep, it's looking great.
Okay, so back to this blog title thing, and not everybody has a blog and understand this, but I want to show you how easy it is to change the pixelation size. And I'll tell you why that's important here in just a second. So I know that my file size that I need, I can click on File, and I can go to Change Dimensions, and I can do Custom, and mine's 400 by 300, and then I can resize it, and it's going to go to that size. So I wanted to show you that, and the reason that's important is if you know your pixelation rate and you're putting that in, and this will all start to make more sense here in a minute, but if you put that in and it's not sized correctly, it's going to cut off parts of these pictures.
It went away, Nick, again, so you must have done something that just...
Well, really the only thing I'm doing is clicking on that screen. I got the control panel way down at the bottom. Wonder if it's freezing up at all.
No,
it seems
I think it's, remember that it opens up a completely different screen, and it may be, if you're going over to let's say over to Chrome or something, that's when we're losing it.
You want me to try and do this and see if that helps?
No, you're fine. If you want to open up another tab, for example, that you want to be able to show for example in Chrome, just open it up on this page, because we're seeing a Chrome browser now. So we're seeing Canva on this Chrome browser. So if you want other tabs you wanted to open, you could just click on that.
Okay.
Or else you go down and click on your Chrome that's down at the bottom. I think
let me click on this Instagram post and let's see if we can't design one without losing it.
No, we lost it again.
Yeah, it's opening up a whole nother tab.
But you can click on that and it should open it, because there it is. There you got it.
Okay.
It went back
I figured it out. So I apologize, everybody. Every time I open up a tab, it automatically pauses it, and I just need to come over here and hit unpause. Okay, so I think we're good. So this is a brand new design canvas, basically. From here, you can pick.
But we're not good right now. It's off now. So we don't have your screen. Sorry.
How about there?
Yep, we do now. Yes.
Okay. All right, guys, we're gonna get through this. I apologize. So, okay, so this opens up to a blank canvas, and you can do one of two things. You can pick one of these pre-selected design templates that they have. Let's say you like the way one looked, but you wanted to make your own. So we can go one of two ways. We can drag this guy over, and it'll populate that field. But let's say we wanted to get rid of this picture and use one of our own. Well, you can upload over here on the left all of your own pictures, or you can hit this upload button, and we can just move something right over from our desktop, and it just populates that upload very, very quickly. And so that's loading up. This is a picture of our local yoga studio I took a couple of weeks ago. I can move that right into this picture, and it'll populate and get rid of that old picture. And it'll take a second, but there it goes. So if you're working,
we lost the screen again. So click whatever you did back. You probably went back to another tab.
Well, it looks like every time I'm going to do something, it's going to automatically pause the screen. So.
Yeah, and just click it again and come back on. Because it's populated now.
Okay.
Yep, it's up.
So basically, I drug that picture from here to there, and I can tell that there's a little bit down here at the bottom, and you can crop this in, you can crop it out, but I just wanted to fill this, and then remember this is one of their pre-made templates. Then you can go in here and do your own wording. We can spell it right, there we go. And then from that wording, if you wanted to change any of this, how it looked, the fonts, you could go up here to the left and pick a host of different fonts. I've never not been able to find one that was useful. It'll change it. You can change the size, you can go smaller, you can go bigger, and it'll fill there. It'll fill in that box you're working with. You can also compress it or widen it, and it all kind of help you center. See that line that pops up? It helps you center it within that box. So any design work that you do it's always nice and uniform, very pleasing to the eye. Or if you wanted to move it all the way to one side, you certainly could do that, or you could move it up in the box. Beyond that, you can go in here and change the color. And remember, if you set your branding, your colors already pop up that you can use and change. Or you can pick a whole new color and basically go through the spectrum and pick any color and then adjust the lightness and darkness of that color. So it's just almost limitless to the amount of sizes and colors that you can do. You can move it to the right, move it to the left, keep it centered. You can also bullet point. You see that bullet that kind of came out? You can adjust the spacing if you want to make it smaller. If we had 2 lines, it'll also adjust the heights of those lines. Sometimes you want to be able to squeeze something in, sometimes you may want it to look tighter, sometimes you may move it out, but it gives you all these options. It's very, very intuitive. It took me like 2 or 3 designs before I eventually got it down, and it was really quick. So that's using one of their own templates. But let's say you wanted to completely make your own. I'm just going to move a couple things over. This little trash can button over here, you can start taking out design elements, and we'll get back to a blank canvas, which that's kind of what that looks like. So let's say we want to just completely make one of our own pictures. This is a picture of our carrots last year at the farmer's market. We can kind of size that up the way we like, whatever's most pleasing to you. You can also do picture in picture if you want to do something on the side. I don't want to now, but you can start layering pictures if you want. And a lot of times I find if we're doing words over a picture, we can go back over here to text, and my branding is already set up here with the fonts that we use the most and the sizes that we use the most. They also have all these different layouts over here on the right, or I'm sorry, on the left that you can use, that you can actually just import right over. You can change the color, and you just change the color by clicking on whatever color you see, and then moving these around. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, and then you just simply click on that and then put in whatever you want. And again, you can change the fonts, you can change the size, and after just a little bit of practice, it's very, very quick. Let's say you didn't want to use one of their pre-done deals and you just wanted to have your letters up there. You just drag it over. It's always going to default to black. We can go down here. This default palette, I hardly ever use it. I don't like it, but I do use this grayscale a lot. And I wanted to show you something. One thing that I use a lot. So let's say we put that text up and we made it, you know, a little big, but because of a picture, you see this white and light, it kind of gets washed out a little bit, and you're going to lose some of the punch. So one thing that Canva allows you to do is actually go in there and put in different elements, and I use these shapes, for instance. So if I wanted to make a band up at the top to put some pictures in, I could drag that shape over there, spread it out, move it to the top, just out of the way, and then you can go up here and you just covered your letters, but then you can go to Arrange and press back, and it's going to put that behind the wording. If you hit back again, it's going to put it behind the picture, so you can start moving that around. And then you can look at that and go, well, that's kind of ugly because it just kind of floats out there and it's really obnoxious and it doesn't really fit the theme. Well, then you can go over here to this transparency file, click it, and start dialing that color down. So now it brings out the color of this, and it'll make it pop a little bit. And then you can start playing with your colors and see if you can match it up a little bit better. And that brown on brown works really well. And then again, you can add, they've got icons that you can use. And let's say you didn't find anything you wanted, there's a search function. Let's type in carrots, see what they come up with. Some of these are free, some of these are paid for. If they do have a little $ on there, I would, first of all, I would never use this, but this is just for demonstrational purposes. If you put that in there, when you have an account set up, it'll take that Canva off and it'll take all these cross hatches out, so you'll just have the image of the carrot. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that because it looks ridiculous. That's one of the great things about taking your own pictures, is you can really capture and tell your own story. Also, within the elements, besides just the icons, they'll have different grids, which would be nice if you wanted to do multiple pictures. Like I showed you that picture-in-picture, you can kind of frame them out. And there's things you'll never ever use here, but that's an option. The frames, it'll kind of preset some things for you that you can always go in there and change. I really like to do my own frames and my own design work just within. There's some more picture framing kind of stuff, and if you just want to do circles and ovals, I mean, it's really limitless. Now this might be something that we could use here, and again, it's all totally adjustable. You can move it out, move it up, and again, you can go up here and simply change the color. White, gray. And it's just, you just layer things up, play with it, take it away, and you'll start getting a feel for it after a little bit. Or you could use their layouts. Another thing, trying to get down there, this thing is so populated, when you can go to, the shapes, that's what I'm looking for, lines. The one thing I don't like about Canva necessarily is I often want to have just a straight line, and I find that this default line is usually way too thick for something. So the way I've gotten around that is I'll use one of these thinner lines that have this little decorative edge, but what I like to do is I like to stretch that out so I'm losing that little indentation on the end, and that way I can get my thinner line. That's really the only thing in Canva that I found that I haven't just totally loved. You know, and you can arrange that however you like. So I'm not saying this is the best design ever, but you kind of get a feel of how you can start doing that. One other thing I really suggest people do is kind of brand their logo, their pictures if you want. The best example I have of this, I was at New York AgTech Week. I took a picture of one of the panels. I put it out on social media, and that thing got shared hundreds and hundreds of times. And I did not put my logo on there or branding on there. I didn't mind it being shared, but I felt I lost an opportunity by not having our design company on there to have it. So I always like to go ahead and move that text over. We'll copyright it, and then for whatever your company is, that way people know that that's yours, especially if you're trying to advertise your own company. And I just kind of move that down at the bottom, and typically I'll make it just a little bit smaller, which again you can go up there and change the font. So you can kind of play with that. So that was done on Instagram, but let's say you wanted to go ahead and put that on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook all at one time. You can go over here to File, and I'm going to watch this and make sure that that it doesn't close down. I imagine it might, so just give me time to unlock each one. So we can go down to File. This Magic Resize, it's going to pre-check the things I use the most. Remember, this was built in the Instagram size, but let's say we want to do a Facebook post, and it really doesn't matter, a LinkedIn header. You could click both of those and hit Magic Resize. Let's see. This is the first time. I usually don't use this in Chrome, and I have a pop-up blocker, so that's one new thing. But anyway, it would open up 3 separate windows, and this would automatically be resized for those particular ones. You would oftentimes have to do just a little bit of adjustment. It may not look exactly like that because some are going to be wider, some are going to be narrower, but it keeps you from having to redo this whole thing over again and to do the resize. So I'm gonna get out of this. I'm gonna watch that. I may have to unpause it. Do we still see the screen?
Yep. Screen's still there.
Okay. So let's say we want to make a flyer. I'm just gonna kind of go through this again, the same basic principle. But
now it went away. Now it went away.
So, right. How about that?
It's back. And you have a question here real quick, Nick. Kathy asks, how do you know your photo was shared widely? So
I have an alert on all my phone. Well, anytime somebody, I use an app called IF, and in particular when I was at New York AgTech Week, the hashtag for the event was hashtag NYC AgTech Week. So when I put it up on my page and use that hashtag, anytime somebody retweeted that or reposted it, IF notified me that had been shared. That's one of the ways I kind of keep up with the traffic on my site. Another way that I know is I followed a lot of those people, their social media accounts, so I would see that picture over and over again throughout the week. So I have notifications just set up on my phone for the event, and that's how I knew it was shared so much. Wayne, if I send you a screenshot of my phone later on or a couple of pictures, I'll let you know about that app, and that way you can share that with everybody.
Yeah, I can share it. I'll put it into the replay for everybody. That'll be great.
Basically, you can go in there and, like, if I post something to Instagram, I can have it automatically go to Twitter. Sometimes I like to do that, and sometimes I don't. Most of the time I do, though, so I have that set up to, I do most of my stuff in Instagram, and I don't mind that going to Twitter, so I'll have that set up. So it automatically goes to Twitter, goes to our Pinterest account. If anybody uses any of our hashtags, like hashtag Stay the Soil, hashtag Plant Seeds Daily, hashtag Victory Gardens, anything like that, I get a notification. That way, if somebody is trying to tag us, or if somebody's talking about our product, or it's a conversation I want to be a part of, I get a little reminder. Some people would want to know anytime somebody's talking about their local farmers market. So if your farmers market had a hashtag, Seattle, Washington farmers market, I don't know if that's the name or not, but you could set that in that app to be notified anytime somebody uses that hashtag, or if you wanted to follow a specific person, you could kind of set it up there. It's endless what this app can do. I mean, it can control some of the, like it can control the Nest thermostat in your house if you wanted to. So you can set it, if you get so many miles from your house, it'll turn that Nest on to the degrees you want. I mean, it's a neat app, and I'll make sure you guys get that. But that's how I found out. But
Great.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Oh, no, I said great answer. That's awesome. I think everybody will appreciate that.
Yeah. One other thing that I really like to use is this infograph one. We've been using it for State of the Soil. I'm not going to, now I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and then I'll make sure. I just unpaused it, so you should be able to see it.
Yep.
Okay.
You did it. Your time is getting great. See, you're getting that right.
Yeah, we're all learning here together. So it does have.
Now we lost it. I don't know what caused it.
There we go. It just must be something in Chrome, because we didn't have that trouble the other night. So it does have all these preloaded infographics, and I've used this one in particular. And the only thing that we did is we went and changed some of these icons out. And these icons are located under the Elements tab, under Icons. And there's a lot of real general stuff. And keep in mind that you can change the size, and you can change the color of all of these and the direction that they're going. Like this little icon. So Canva, their in-house designers set this up as a template. But I can actually go and remove or move that icon and bring in a different one, resize it back down. See how I'm doing that? And a little tweak. But let's say I want to match that color. Again, you just click on that, come up here, and it'll actually have a document color, or boom. And see how we change that icon out? So anything that you see here is in these design elements over here to the left. The text, the banners, the icons, the shapes that I showed you guys earlier. Look at that. We can just move that shape out. Or if we wanted to pronounce it, remember, we can click on it and do that transparency change. Make it go away, make it come back. Or we could change the color and then change the transparency again. So this is just somebody that's pre-done a design and that you can go back in and tweak. One thing that Canva's great at is just helping you brainstorm by showing you professionally done designs. Keep in mind that if you go to your farmer's market and you wanted to do an infographic about how to roast vegetables, or how to store the vegetables, or how to cut or prep, or do a recipe card, or tell the story of we grew at this farm, here's our harvest, you could change this out for a delivery truck, and here we are at market. I mean, you can change all these elements out. Another neat thing that you can do under the uploads, instead of using your own pictures, you can just search farm, and it's going to give you all these different elements and pictures. Some are free, some are paid. I will tell you that a lot of these you can buy through, I use Envato Market to buy a lot of my digital assets, like music. The very, very rare time that I use somebody else's picture, but I'm telling you, a lot of these come from Envato Market and some of these other websites that have these pre-done pictures. But I mean, some of these are pretty in depth. Some of them are good, and for $1 a piece, it's design work done very, very cheaply. If you were to send this out, I mean, $99 sometimes is the minimum. My own logo I paid $500 for a few years ago, but you can actually make your own logo off of some of these designs. But all of this, remember guys, generally is found within this element category through these different categories up here. Charts. So if you wanted to do a bar graph, these are all adjustable. You can move these up and down, change the color. It's just packed. And again, for something that's free, if you guys wanted to do a food pyramid, I mean, let's see. I could get sucked into this really easy. I just really enjoy it. This is a good one to use. It kind of gives you a bar graph. I'm just going to set it up there so you can kind of give a timeline of what happens at your farm. Hey, you know, we're checking the eggs, we're feeding the chickens, we're letting the chickens roam, we're putting them back in the hutch, and making sure they're warm at night. I'm just throwing stuff out there that you could use that for. You could use it for pretty much any activity at the market. I'm going to go back to the main file, and I'm going to watch and make sure this doesn't pause. Give it a second. So if you guys see that the last three things that we talked about have already been preloaded here, and I'm just going to go ahead and erase these because it's not something I'm going to use again. But last night, you can see I'm the administrator on our local farmers market. Well, I changed the banner for our Facebook, and I changed our profile pic for the Facebook. This is my picture that I took, and these are some of those design elements that I used. I'm going to go ahead and open this up and show you how I did that. And I know that just paused, and you should be able to see that in just a second.
You're figuring it out, Nick. It's working out.
Quick learners. So this particular shape, I'm going to bring this out so you guys can see what this started out as. That started out as one of those elements that was kind of a badge icon, and I simply dropped it in the corner to kind of give it a little shape, and then I copied the same shape, changed the color just for a border. So you don't have to use the whole shape. You can move it off to the side, and again, guys.
We're not seeing screen again. It's gone.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's back.
I don't know why it's doing that. It's very strange, but you know, you can adjust that out, and remember that you can change that transparency if you didn't want to show the whole thing. I just love how easy it is to use. Now, I want to go back to if you were at a farmer's market and you wanted to make a flyer. That's something I really want to cover here. So I'm going to go back into Canva. We're going to watch this pause button for a second. Again, up at the top, you have all these different things that you can choose from. Gift certificates. Make a logo, make a trifold brochure. So if you had a printer at home and you want to make your own brochure, you basically design it in here, and you can fold that paper 3 ways, and you have a homemade brochure. I've had brochures printed up 2,000 or 3,000, and I've had brochures I needed for a specific event that I only needed 10 of. This makes more sense to print 10 as to go to the copy shop. Business cards. This is a good way. I have designed a business card here, but I uploaded the design to my business card company that I get my cards from, which is Moo, M-O-O. They're very, very nice cards, and that's the ones I like to hand out. I've used this menu before when we've done a farm-to-table event and when we've done caterings. This is a nice one to use because they have a lot of design elements associated with food and gardening and that kind of thing. The poster is a little bit bigger size, and then if you wanted it bigger, or you wanted to change it from not metric to US standard. You can also do that in the size. The Facebook cover, if you guys log in up at the top and you see that big banner up at the top, that's the cover. YouTube thumbnails, I use this one a lot because I don't like my videos to have just some random picture in there from the video. So I'll do most all of my thumbnails here recently have been made in this, and YouTube picks this up so much faster because it's correctly aspected to their guidelines. It makes using other people's programs so much easier and faster. The event cover is just slightly different sizes, 784 by 295, different than 828 by 315. And that doesn't sound like much of a difference, but if you're cutting off the G and the P and you have an garden party instead of a garden party, that's when you're wasting your time designing something if you're going to cut it off by not using it at the right place. You can make your own cards, your own invitations, your ads. This wide skyscraper, I like to make bookmarks out of this for the farmer's market, and we'll print them up on thicker paper and cut it. It's a great gift. It's a great giveaway. People love reading books, especially the people that go to the farmer's market. That's kind of an easy customer demographic there. So if you can make a bookmark with your branding on it from the farmer's market, you know, that's something a lot of people would say, you know, that's a waste of time. But if you have something tangible that people can touch and hold and take home with them, you'd be surprised how often people hang on to stuff like that, especially a bookmark. It's in somebody's book, by their nightstand, and every single night as they open up their book, they're having to touch your logo, and on both sides, mind you. So it's just, they may not think about it as they're touching it, but in the back of their mind, night after night, they're seeing your farm, your farm, your farm, and it's just a good way to stay in people's kind of periphery all the time. So off that little tangent, we're gonna go do a flyer. I know that just dropped off. We should be back up. Let's say you want to make a flyer, but you had no idea what you wanted to do. Again, you can use Canva to go through and just, wait a minute, there we go. You can get different ideas, and just know that anytime there's a picture that you can swap it out. So let's say you really liked this font for whatever reason, this layout, drag it over. You've already got all your pictures uploaded. We may have a slight issue. There we go. I'm going to try a different one. I'm going to give that a second to populate before it drops. So we can go over here, scroll through a picture that we want to use. There's a picture of one of our salads. Drop that in. It populates. And if you notice, it looks different than over here. That's because in this design that they had already previous, they use that transparency. So I want that back up or back down. You can adjust it like so. Another thing that this may have is a filter. This started out as this filter. So I'm going to put it back to normal, and I'll get my original design back in. And then I can also adjust the picture here. And it can drop down. I can put a vignette on it, kind of blacken out those edges, kind of frame it. I use that a lot. I don't like to use saturation, blur sometimes, but I really want the sharpness of this definition. So I just may play with the light just a little bit, but just know that there's all these different filters. If you want to do it black and white, you could. And if you want it a little bit more black and white, or just a little bit vintage color, there you go. So just like Instagram or some of your picture apps, you can go through and put these different filters on. I'm very, very picky about my photography. So I want my picture up because that's the way I originally had it set up. And let's say you didn't want that down there at the bottom. You just highlight it, hit delete. It goes away. Another way you can do that is you can highlight it, and up here you can hit that trash can. Gone. Victory Gardens. Oop. You see that S, it dropped down and it ran out of room. So we're just going to bring this out just a little bit. Kind of recenter it. Click on there, highlight it. We want to change that background color. Or if we want a completely new color, anything in the rainbow and more. And then you can adjust that size. You know, it's just very, very wide open to anything that you would ever want to do. I've got a ton of pictures lined up here, both from the summit and from our own gardens. Again, we use this all the time. All these are our pictures that we've used, except for a couple of these things that were not ours. Some of these are clients' pictures that we've used for their design work. So that's pretty much how you do it. And again, you can go up and resize that if you wanted to. This is a 5" by 7", but you can change the dimensions, custom dimensions. Instead of a 5 by 7, let's say you wanted an 8 by 11. Normal piece of paper, resize it, and it'll make it just big enough to where you download it. And I'm afraid to hit download, but we're going to see what happens. So you can either do a PNG, which I would recommend if you were going to use this digitally, as if you were going to send this to somebody over the computer, or if you were going to print it out or send it off to be printed somewhere, you would probably want to do it as a PDF. But ask your print shop or ask whoever's doing your design. Sometimes when we send stuff out to different media groups, they'll want it in a JPEG. So you have different options up here. It automatically set to PNG because that's what I do the most. When I hit download, it kind of saves it, and it'll go to our download on our computer, and it's over there. Or you can automatically tweet it, post it, or email it from this side. I rarely do that because I want a little bit more control than what is set up, but it's real easy to do if you want to do that. One other little trick that I found is if I do want an Instagram, for whatever reason, unless it's a huge headache, it's very difficult to do post from your desktop on Instagram. I have an app on my phone, the Canva app, so anytime I design something on my desktop, I can go to my phone, and it's what I just downloaded is now on my phone without me having to do anything, and I can upload that directly from my phone to Instagram, and that's how I get this design work to that particular platform. So, with all that being said, I'm going to go back. I'm going to attempt to go back to the camera, or I'm sorry, there we go, and open it up to questions.
Well, I've got one, Nick, and I think you might have said it at the front end, but you're using a premium version of Canva, and there is a free version, but I think the premium version, which I have also, but I don't remember the price, is relatively inexpensive. Do you remember what it is?
$10 a month. $10.
That's what I thought. And I think it's cheaper than that if you pay annually. I think it might be like $79. It might be less. So
I think you're right. And just keep in mind, if you were doing something all the time like we are, it's worth paying. I would just use the free version until they tell you, hey, you exceeded your limit, and then it's just $10, and you basically have already got your money worth, even if you pay the $10. I mean, I could not do my job without this, and I don't get paid. I'm not a representative. It's just I like it more than anything else I've ever used. the quality's there. It's better than some of the stuff we've hired out in the past. In fact, we don't hire anything out anymore. So the other good thing about it is all my virtual assistants have access to this. So if somebody had an office manager or somebody was having a husband or a wife or a kid helping them out with their social media, multiple people can use this with your login, and that's how we do it.
And here's another advantage. I don't go to it that often because I've got VAs that do that like you. I hadn't seen it in at least a month now. They upgrade it all the time. There were 4 or 5 features that you described there, Nick, that weren't there a month ago. And I think I've been a Canva user since almost when it started. So and it was pretty primitive initially, but it's very sophisticated.
There was a big update today. The update today, they added for each category, they added a whole bunch of new templates. So they do upgrade it fairly often. And it's one of those upgrades where when they do one, it doesn't take away, it only adds. So if you get really used to something, you really don't have to worry about it going away. So.
So Nick, this is a question that Jeff has that's somewhat related to using it for what you did last week, which is for Facebook. And how he asks, how often should I post on my Facebook page?
Yeah, great question. This is one of the more popular questions that we get. So my rule of thumb for how often we post is it newsworthy? And I'm not talking about nightly news on CNN. Is this newsworthy to you, your farm, or something your clients would want to see? Sometimes I'll see somebody's page and it'll have like a picture of a chicken, say, and it's like, here's our chicken, and it's kind of, people know you have chickens, right? So unless that chicken is doing something just hysterical, or he just ate all of your jalapeno plants, which that happened to me last year, that's something. It's not earth-shattering, but that's the entertainment value of, look at what our dumb chickens did today and what we're having to deal with. Or, hey, the chicken laid an egg and in one of our tomato plants or something like that. Hey, we're going to go out and be at this event. We're promoting this person. We're taking a delivery of a new greenhouse. We're taking a delivery of a bunch of stock. Anything that is kind of out of the ordinary, don't post just for the sake of posting. There's 2 or 3 days would go by and we don't post something sometimes. You can look at our Victory Gardens page and see that we tend to post on Mondays when we're designing the salads and making the salads and harvesting. We'll do another post Tuesday after the salads are finished so people can see the finished product. We'll do one on Wednesdays, typically after deliveries, and then often, unless something is just oddball when we're going around doing our maintenance, we may not put anything up on Thursday or Friday. And one thing I really like to do, especially in the summer when I'm at the farm a little bit more, is I'll go around in the morning when the light's just right when I first get there, and kind of take a picture of everything that's blooming, or just kind of give I always call them farm tours. So if you go back a little bit, you can see Sunday walk around the farm or something like that, and I'll just go around taking different pictures so people can see it, especially if there's changes from week to week, and most always there is something on the farm that's changing from week to week. So again, I wouldn't put, hey, we're having a sale today. Hey, come buy from us today. Hey, we have a great deal on this. It's like we're entertaining, we're educating, we're letting people know what life is like on the farm. And by the way, we're going to be selling something over here today, and this is how much it's going to be, or this is the quantity amount that we're going to have, especially right before farmers market. We do that every Friday. It's a fine line. Are we putting too much stuff on social media? Are we not putting up enough? The balance is, if it's interesting to you, given that you're around this stuff all the time, and if something just happens to catch your eye, that's a good indication that your followers might want to see that would be interesting. If it's interesting to you, being around it all the time, it's most certainly going to be interesting to people that have chosen to follow you. And keep in mind that they have chosen to follow you. They've given you permission to tell your story if you are being entertaining, if you are adding value to them and showing them something different.
Cool. Jeff asked a kind of a corollary question. What about other platforms? You know, you've talked about Instagram here, Twitter, and do you post a little differently on those in terms of your schedule?
Yeah. I use the different platforms for different reasons. Right now, where I'm at, if I just had my farm, say, I would not be using Twitter here locally. Twitter's not big in Paris, Texas. If I was in a metropolitan area, I'd probably use Twitter a little bit more, especially industry specific. You'll see a lot of education, a lot of tech, a lot of it's not really farm centric, I should say. There's a lot of farming stuff going on Twitter, but in my opinion, unless you're trying to network outside of your area as a local farmer, like trying to reach out to a manufacturer or trying to reach out to the Curtis Stones of the world or the Wayne Dorbands of the world and trying to ask them a question, that's where I would use Twitter. If I had a question for somebody at Grodan or at Luminex or Grower Supply, for instance, I would follow them. I might ping them a little bit if I wanted to ask some questions. I have to use it because we're trying to educate farmers all over the world. But you're not going to see our Victory Lunch Club stuff. You're not going to see our local farm on there unless we're just talking about our local farm as part of State of the Soil. Instagram, I really like for my 45 to 25 demographic that are really into pictures. They're really into, I think it's our second most popular, I know, it's our second most popular feed for Victory Gardens. However, that's the one platform that I use both for Victory Gardens and for State of the Soil. That's where I kind of skate the line. Victory Gardens is segmented on Facebook. State of the Soil is segmented on Facebook. So there's the people that follow Victory Gardens never see State of the Soil because that's not the message I'm trying to send to them. Snapchat is huge between the 12 to 27 age bracket. That's not my client. That's not who I sell to. I may regret not getting in on Snapchat early enough to learn the platform to where I'm as good at it as I am these other platforms. But let's take a look at this. Remember, Periscope was really big a couple of years ago. It's gone because Facebook bought it and pretty much turned it into Facebook Live. Blab is gone, which was a platform where people could go on and have like very, very short, small webinars. It's no longer available. Some of these platforms have been absorbed by some of the bigger ones. Remember, Facebook bought Instagram 530-something days after Instagram launched for just an ungodly amount of money. So these things are getting absorbed by the bigger guys. So I'm trying to kind of stay in my lane. I'm always on the lookout for a new platform. I probably am not going to hop up right on it unless it's just mind-blowingly fantastic. And it took me a long time to get on Instagram, and I regret it because of how many pictures we take. But my lifestyle at the time was different. My job at the time was different, so I didn't hop on it right away. I would just simply look at who your demographic is and what's being used in your area and focus on one at first, get really good at that before you branch out onto something else, and probably not use more than 3 platforms. But I would start with Facebook, then I would move to Instagram, and then possibly Twitter, or depending on your demographic, maybe move down to Snapchat. And LinkedIn's nice too.
Great answer.
With other people in your industry.
So we're getting a little bit over the time here, and I want to be respectful of everybody, but there's a great question that Jeff asked. By the way, all of your questions have been awesome, Jeff. that maybe we'll end with this one, unless you guys throw some others in. How do you know time spent on social media is really worth it? Do you have a farm sales, do you have farm sales that come in from the internet, or do people mention it at the farmers markets or other ways? So is it direct or indirect for you, I think is his question.
It's direct for me, but it's also indirect. An example of direct was we put out a piece of we put out an ad basically this last Monday. I think I put a budget of $20 on it for my target demographic that I talked about last time. I did 5 sign-ups this week directly related to that ad, because you can track the clicks and all that kind of thing. So if you figure over the course of the year, each sign-up is good for roughly $650. That $25 ad, we've got a 90% retention rate on people that sign up. So let's say out of 5 people that sign up, we keep 4. So 4 times 650 is $2,600 for the year. So I spent $20 this week. We got clicks that I can track that directly led to signups. By the way, that was the only advertising I did. That's really the only advertising I do. And I increased my yearly revenue by $2,600 if all 4 keep on. If anything, at the very minimum, this week alone, I made $52 off that $20 ad. So that was a very direct sale. Now, the indirect part of it was those people may have been following our story and what we do for several months before they finally clicked on that ad to finally get to us. The people that come to Farmers Market overwhelmingly are people from our Victory Lunch Club. We built Victory Lunch Club on the backbone of Facebook. That's the only way we put it out. We never did any radio spots. We never did any flyers. It was only through Facebook. So is it worth it for me? Absolutely. We've got 3,500 people that follow us on Facebook. Does those $3,500 equal, or 3,500 people equal dollars in my bank account? No. But when you aggregate that down to the people that found us, clicked on us through those Facebook ads, and have now become weekly clients, and you know the income that we bring in weekly from that, yeah, it was it was directly trackable. State of the soil, you know, the same thing. We built that on Facebook. We built that primarily on Instagram and Twitter. We've got almost 1,000 people signed up for it, and several dozen tickets sold. So at a much higher price point to a worldwide audience that was also targeted for farmers. So we're now able to tell the people that need to hear our story, and it equaled people that are now following us. We can now communicate with them, and we have them purchasing tickets for Save the Soil. So all the stuff that I'm doing, we have a worldwide presence for one company. We have the like second or third largest Facebook page in our town, irregardless of farm or store. I mean, we're like number 1 or 2 depending on the month. We kind of go back and forth between me and another guy. So it's a long term burn. It's a long term kind of thing. And I always like to remind people it's a relationship builder. It's not something that you're going to go put an ad up and get 100 new clients tomorrow. But we've been doing this for 3 years, pretty much day in and day out. So that's a long answer to that question. So it's worth it to me, and
that's a good one.
Our businesses.
It's a marathon for you. Well, everybody, let's give some applause to Nick here. Give him some ones. That was great. He's helped us a lot here. I hope you guys got it. I did a bunch from that. Like I said, I've used Canva a lot before. I haven't used it in the last month or so. I learned some really cool tricks. It's a great service, and he was giving a lot more insight than just that. So everybody, come to State of the Soil. Go register for it. You got the links on there. Come to the rest of the webinars that we have throughout the week if you can. remember, I have the special one that we're doing tomorrow and Saturday. I've just sent some other links and announcements out for that, so you'll be getting emails for that if you haven't already. And we love you guys. We love Nick's help here. Please come and support him at State of the Soil next week. And let's have a great rest of our week, and we'll see you all later. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me.